Hey everybody, it's Jeff Antoniuk. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate you being here. This is video number 5 in my series of jazz process videos. And the idea here is I want to take you through my process of getting ready for a gig, a series of 5 gigs that I have coming up at the Baltimore Symphony this December. And I'm going to be looking at movement number 9. It looks a little bit like that here today. There are 25 movements, 90 pages of music. And I'm having to reacquaint myself with the baritone saxophone and the alto saxophone, as well as tenor, which I play all the time. That's not such a big deal. But getting ready for this stuff. And I'm going to play through a little bit of this stuff I can't play. And by the way, these videos are not me showing off how good I can play. These videos are the opposite. They're showing how, for any professional musician such as myself, we all have to start somewhere, and the somewhere is not where it's going to have to be on stage in front of 500 or 1,000 people or whatever, which is where this is going to be in a little over a month. So, but one of the things I've been thinking about is I'm interested in the thought of being an artist versus being a craftsman. And that's a little bit of philosophy, but it really plays out for a lot of us. And thinking about what an artist or what a craftsman is. Somebody sitting in a symphony orchestra, a great, fabulous musician. Are they an artist? Are they a craftsman? Is it a little bit of each? I would argue that a lot of that kind of gig, or playing in a big band, that's a craftsman kind of thing. The idea that you're supposed to play it exactly the same each time. There's a particular tone you're supposed to use. There is no question about that articulation versus this one. That's a craftsmanship role. And of course, we know an artist is someone like Miles Davis or Willie Nelson. Imperfect tone, imperfect all the way around, right? But an artist only needs the technique they need to achieve their artistic vision. And we can argue about this. I'm happy to argue about this, actually. A craftsman has to get it right every time, right? So if I need a pacemaker installed, I don't want an artist designing my pacemaker. I do not want that. I want a craftsman, right? So I started out as a musician being a craftsman. I was playing a lot of shows, musicals, playing in big bands and doing those sort of craftsman gigs. And I really loved it. And really for the last 20 years or so, I've done a lot less of that and a lot more quote-unquote artistic stuff, where it's all about my interpretation. It's about how I improvise. It's about how I choose to play that melody. So that's great. But this gig, there's a lot of craftsmanship stuff in here, and I'm having to revisit that for the first time in a long time. Precision. And I'm going to have to match up with 35 string players. How are they going to play this part? And I need to be flexible enough to nail it with them. You get the idea. And for those just tuning in, this is Jeff Antoniuk. Thank you for being here on the live stream. These are all being archived on my YouTube channel, which is Jeff Antoniuk Educator. This is the 5th video, and I appreciate you hanging out. So the last thing I'll say about that artistic craftsmanship thing is I don't think there's one that's better than another. I think there might be this assumption that being an artist is a better thing. I don't know about that. Everybody likes different stuff. And for me, there's this real challenge of having to be a craftsman here on this gig more than I've had to be for a long time, this precision stuff. So I'm seeing that there's a lot in my playing that I haven't had to deal with. I was going to say let go. I don't think that's it. I just haven't had to deal with. So I'm really enjoying getting ready for this, these 5 gigs with the Baltimore Symphony, because it's really, I'm having to work hard on some of the craftsman aspects. So let me show you this here. This is movement number 9, written by Tchaikovsky, of course, and arranged by my good friend Paul Murtha. And okay, so there's some, technical kind of stuff on here, not that big a deal. There's a lot of improvising on this particular movement. Kind of interesting, 6 measure phrases, so I'm going to have to figure out what's going on there. Here's the part that's kind of a bit of a finger buster that I'm working on. It doesn't actually look like such a big deal down here. It's a little high on the horn, and but it's at 300. It's quick. And then there's an articulation thing that I'm having to figure out. If you look at that, it's groupings of 3 notes. They're slurred, and there's a staccato at the end of the 3rd note. And so now this is way, way slow. This is not at tempo. So, short notes at the end. At that tempo, that makes sense, articulating. When I'm speeding it up, first of all, my fingers can't quite play this yet, but there's no time to articulate exactly. So I was cutting off with my airstream, not exactly the right way to do it. So I'm sort of wrestling, sort of philosophically. I guess I'm going to practice it both ways. You know, doing a hard articulation, which is what staccato means, versus that sort of tapering air thing. And overdid it a little bit there, but you get the idea. So as I'm preparing this stuff, so those are some of the Craftsman things I never in a million years think about when I'm playing, you know, a Coltrane tune or soloing on something. It's how Jeff feels like articulating in the moment is how it gets done. And so now here, not only do I want to do exactly what's on the page and be able to play perfectly 8 times in a row, but I probably need 2 or 3 options. Am I playing with the woodwinds? Am I playing with the strings? So that's the kind of stuff that I'm working on. So one of the things is, can I get it under my fingers, nailing it, technically correct, in tune, great sound, all that. But then there's all these other questions that I'm not the artist, at least when I play this part. I'm playing with the orchestra. So I'm a craftsman there. However, on this page, the improvising, that is my vision relative to the tune. So that's a little bit more like an artist. So it's interesting that, you know, through this song, I'm flipping back and forth in my roles. So that's a lot about what this gig is. So anyway, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Please, if you have any questions, any topics you're interested in, any arguments, anything at all, I'm really interested in engaging with folks on this. This is about me thinking through and working through in the moment, getting all this music ready. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's definitely not perfect yet. It's going to be perfect on December 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. That's for sure. So thank you for hanging out. I've gotten some great comments. I've had people phone me and email me asking about, well, since I'm trying to sound like Johnny Hodges, have I tried playing a Busher saxophone, a vintage saxophone? You know, those sort of questions. And that's going to be actually something we're talking about probably on the next video. So there's a lot more coming up, and I appreciate you paying attention here, tuning in. Let me know what you're thinking about. Let me know your thoughts on this. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll just get to see all the other videos up there. I appreciate your time. Take care.